Hello and welcome to the Bee Formless Flow Driven CEO podcast. Oh my goodness, I am so honored and thrilled to be talking to I'm going to call you my friend Karen, Dr. Karen Reynolds, who I met months and months ago, and we had a beautiful conversation. And we've allowed the time to finally find the time that's completely right for you to do to come on the show on my podcast. So welcome to the show, Karen.
Thank you, Bee. I'm so honored to be here. I've been looking forward to this.
Me too, me too. And the reason I called you your friend because I do sometimes think that you meet people along the way, along your journeys, and you have almost like this connection, kindred spirit.
Right.
And yeah, we have had a lot of different conversations, whether it's been on Zoom like this or we've had an email conversation, etc.
Exactly.
And yeah, I feel like, we will remain in touch. And yeah, so it's always a beautiful connection when you have ones like this.
Absolutely. We absolutely will. And that's
Yes,
exactly we are friends.
yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. And you have quite a journey. You've had quite a journey and you have quite the story. You're a healthcare expert, business owner, and founder of KAREKOWELL LLC, where you
Yes.
help individuals and families make informed health and life decisions. You protect their legacies and you navigate those hard seasons with clarity and compassion. You're drawing on a career across clinical leadership and health education, and you've got the lived experience as a grieving mother. Karen equips leaders and communities to lead from the middle of the mess with courage, truth, and practical tools. And it certainly, we just talked about that before, it certainly can be a middle of the mess, and what a great, term or phrase to call it when it is of you would know of all people. It is, the messy middle. Karen,
Yes.
tell us a bit about, I won't say even say your journey, your story, and whatever what you want to share, what you feel comfortable in sharing.
Well, I feel comfortable in sharing everything because my lived experience is what has drawn me to this type of career. Um, I'm a mother. I'm a mother. Three children, they're all grown, but our third baby boy, he is in heaven now. But I am still very much a mom of three because he is just such an inspiration to our family. It seems like even more with his spirit. I'm a wife. Recently, I was born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, in
Yeah.
DeKalb Technical School. Yes, I always claim that. And then after our son passed away, we were just inundated with we needed some change. We really needed to live our life. That's what our son did at his 29 years. So we moved to Arizona. My husband retired and we moved to Arizona, and it has been magnificent. Just the alignment that is here with the weather and the sunshine and just looking around at what we built, and we probably never would have been in this space had we had to really think about it. So it's a great place to reorganize my business and expand with my KAREKOWELL and health navigation. So when I was younger, my parents were married. We were born to married parents, right? And so my parents got divorced. And shortly after that, my mother met the love of her life, which was a woman. So I was raised in a same-sex family in the 70s,
Wow.
or there was modern family, but my father was still very present in our lives. And I learned a lot about people and diversity and individuals and judgment because we were faced with a lot of judgment. And it wasn't until, well, we were faced with a lot of judgment, but we had a lot of love too from friends, family, and neighbors. But it wasn't until I went to college, I went to a Big Ten college, and I was a math major in college.
Wow.
And so, yeah, I love math. So I wanted to work for NASA. I wanted to tell them where to point things and, to
Yeah, I
get them.
love it.
But I was sitting in this classroom and it was before the teacher came in and people were just talking about, about gay people and how they shouldn't have kids and how they raise kids and all the stuff I had heard in my life. And I finally said, I'm going to open up my mouth. And what I said was, I didn't know you felt that way about me. And they looked at me. Yes, I have two moms and a dad. And none of what you're saying is true. I am sitting here in this Big Ten college with you. You know, I've had boyfriends. I'm a pretty girl. I have lots of friends. I'm grounded and I love the Lord. None of what you have said is true. And I was liberated from then.
Wow.
Liberated. We just had strong values. And that was one of my first lessons in people are not informed.
No.
They're just not informed and they take their judgments and then just run with them. But even after that, um, I had my first child after my first year of college. I was 19.
Wow.
That was my first experience with healthcare and learning how to navigate that. Yes, I had insurance with my father, but there were so many other things that I needed to learn about being a mom, about to have my own family and having insurance for my child. So that was a huge experience there. And sometime after that, I left college, and that's when I went into healthcare. I was 20 years old, and I went to a school to learn how to be a medical assistant. So from 20 till now, I have been in the healthcare field.
That's amazing.
Yes, it is. And I learned about advocating and informed decision making when I had my second daughter. And she was premature because in between this, I went back to school. I was still going to school to get my degree as well while I was working in the healthcare field. I fell on campus. And after that, I started having some problems. No one would listen to me. And I knew something was wrong because my first child, I carried him full term, and this did not feel right. Something was happening, but there was nothing that was physically present that was happening. So I would go to the emergency room and they would send me home. And then one time, and I've always been one to question things, right? I just always had that line.
Curiosity. I
Yes.
curiosity. Yeah.
Yes. So I went directly up to the labor and delivery section of the hospital. And I told them, I'm having some problems. I'm cramping. My daughter's not moving. Come to find out, they had to admit me. I was actually like in labor and it was not time. My daughter was actually born 3 months early at 1 pound, 9 ounces.
Jeez.
Yes. And so she had to go into the neonatal ICU. I had never heard of anybody having a premature birth. I had never heard of a neonatal ICU. Remember, I was in medical assistant school, so I didn't know babies were in the ICU. And so she had to be separated from me. She was no bigger than the middle of my hand, no bigger. And I just remember the doctor telling me, she was like, she's probably not going to be alive when she's born. And all I could do was just pray in my head as I pushed. She did not make a sound when she came out. They all left, and I'm just laying there praying and breathing. They came back in and said, she's fine. She's breathing. They brought her in. She had all these tubes, and they took her over to the other hospital. So I had to learn then, what are you doing to my daughter? I had to learn how to ask the right questions.
Mm.
There were a lot of decisions that I had to make, and I'm just thankful that I was a naturally inquisitive person. Well, now my daughter is 32 years old, thriving and great. And then I had another premature child, which was Kenny, the baby boy. But he was premature because when my placenta tore away with my daughter, I guess it's a condition that happened again, and he had a different blood type. So my body was actually attacking him. But
Uh,
I knew how to advocate for myself at that time. So we were
yeah.
able to save him too. So these lived experiences have made me to understand how people are reactive in healthcare when we could be proactive.
Yep.
Had I known some things, I could have gotten a special type of doctor that could have looked out
For
for
you.
some things, knowing
Yeah.
that I had some preemie babies. And just being in the healthcare field, as I was into it full time. And I've always worked in patient access, which is where people normally come into the hospital. They'll come in through the emergency room usually, or they may come in through admitting because they have a planned procedure. So being in patient access, and especially in that emergency room, I was able to see how information misses people.
Mm.
I was able to see the scared faces of the teenagers, of the parents, um, of even, the homeless people who come in and have these tragic accidents. And all I could think of was some of these could have been preventable
Yeah.
had they known what to say, what to do, or what doctor to go to. So many people were using emergency rooms as their primary care physician because they didn't have insurance, didn't know how to get it, or they didn't understand how their insurance works. So when this happens, this leads to delays in necessary care because you
Mm.
didn't know that emergency room is exactly what it is. It's fixing an emergency. They're not monitoring you. They're not giving you a care plan. They're fixing it. If they have to admit you, they'll admit you for a few days. But what do they always say? Follow up with your family doctor.
Yes.
But if you don't have a family doctor, you're going to come right back to the emergency room. If you're not accustomed to paying for medications or understanding what medications are for, you're not going to get the prescription and you're not going to take it. And when you don't know who to talk to, other than someone saying talk to physicians, but when you don't know how to talk to physicians, you're going to get bad advice all the way around.
Yeah. So
So
true.
I saw these things happening, and I've worked in some major hospitals that were at universities. So now you have young adults who've left home trying to navigate their health care, and they don't even know their parents' birthdays or where they work.
Or let alone blood type. Excuse me, all of those, the history that sometimes is required. What's your blood type? All of that sort of stuff. Like, you know.
Yeah, yeah. So when you don't know who your insurance is through, so now we can't get your insurance. And if some of them come in and they're not able to participate in their care, and that's a big thing, not being able to participate in your care means you may have come in intoxicated, you may have had an accident, and you cannot answer any questions. So your life and health is actually in the hands of the physicians who are going to make the best decision that they can, which is to save your life.
Mm.
And the parents won't even know. They'll call up there and they can't be told anything because they're not listed on the chart. So these are the things where I go deep into a long stream of triple loop thinking, not reactive thinking like, well, how did that happen? Well, no, we're going to go back further and say, What caused the, how did that happen? So
That's the is that the triple loop? What
that's
caused
the
what
triple
caused
loop. You have to go a step further, triple
yeah.
loop thinking, not just the first step or the second step, It's all these root causes in here, and it all goes back to making informed decisions. And when you have the right information, you can make informed decisions and you can also prepare for crisis management. Now, you may not like the outcome of your healthcare because let's just face it, sometimes it's just you get bad news. You get bad news. But there's a thing about getting bad news when you have prepared your family, when you have the documents in place, when you know the right questions to ask. And that way you can move and navigate through the system
Yeah.
with understanding that healthcare is a business. And because healthcare is a business, you really need to have a business mind
Yeah, you do.
when you're navigating through it. They like you, of course, they're going to be friendly of you to you, some of them. But the bottom line is health insurance guides a lot of these decisions, the health insurance rules, the pre-certification rules
Yeah.
that are in place. But another thing that navigates the system is our voice. And many of us do not know how to use our healthcare voice.
No.
And that's where I come in as that patient advocate and where KAREKOWELL steps in to place that value on their voice. And that's our pillar, value on individual care, empowered voice.
Mm. It's so important, isn't it? Like it really is. Like, do you do,
It definitely is.
and do you work with all ages? Like, do you have like when you have individuals, like is there a certain age group that you're working with or
There's not a certain age group because you don't know what you don't know and you don't know what you need.
no?
So when I say if I work with underserved populations, it's not a particular race, it's not a particular income level. It's really about anyone is underserved when they don't know how to navigate through that
And
system.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so there's not a particular age group. I've worked with seniors. I've worked with seniors who were about to retire and they needed help planning, getting their retirement paperwork in and planning for their health care in retirement. So I do things like that. I work with young people who have to get guardianship over their parents and they didn't know what to do. I help in those aspects. I help people understand their health insurance selections that they need. I have helped people who are going through cancer where I've been the one while I've spoken to their doctor for them because sometimes they're just too sick to understand. So I'll speak with the doctor while they're there and I'll put it in some language to them and I'll say, do you
Makes sense.
understand what the doctor is saying? Is this what you want? And it just gives them that extra layer of confidence, to say, no, that's not what I want. Or they'll say, well, I don't understand this and that, and I could communicate, be that go-between into the doctor because sometimes physicians just don't speak our language. And when you're sick, you just want to get well. And sometimes you'll agree to anything.
Yeah. I always
And,
call it the
and
bedside manner. You know, there's something kind of that
right.
bedside.
Some of them do not have a great bedside manner. They come in for a few minutes. You may luck up and get someone who seems really well and nice, but you still don't quite understand what they're saying to you.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. So tell us a little bit about the you lead from the middle of the mess. Because you talked about the triple thinking. Was it the
Triple loop thinking.
triple loop thinking?
Yes,
Tell us about
triple loop thinking.
yeah, how do you lead from the middle of the middle of the mess?
Well, I tell you, it takes a skill to lead from the middle of the mess because you have to have, okay, so when I come into a situation, it's usually already murky. Sometimes you have family members, they're not agreeing. The patient, they want to do a course of care or they don't want to do a course of care, but they don't know how to tell their family. So, leading from that, we have to start and get some clarity somewhere. So, that's where I have to take it and start at the beginning, which means I need to speak with the patient because this is about patient-centered care. This is their time to talk and really talk and say what they want. And I teach them how to ask some questions. So when I teach you what questions to ask, That's where the clarity starts to come in. And then we can go from there. So if there's some critical conversations that we need to have, I'll outline those things. I do an intake on them, you know, and we just start in that circle of that crisis management, just getting things in order. Because sometimes that murkiness come in because everyone has a different understanding of what's happening.
Mm,
And it's up to me to come in and champion that information with some organization.
yeah, right. And Karen, you mentioned you're a grieving mother, your beautiful young son, Kenny, your baby of the family. Here you
Yeah.
are, like having your own business, being a patient advocate. What was it like for you when you were like on the other side almost in terms of like you've had along all your lived experiences along the way, being, having Premi daughter, then Premi Kenny, you've had different challenges along the way, adversity where you've stood up, you've used your voice. I won't say raised your voice.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden you have this life-defining moment that it changes everything, right? It just changes your whole entire world.
Yeah.
How do you then, as someone who is in health and you've looked after everybody else, all these different people, like individuals of all different types, being their patient advocate, how did
Mhm.
you then maneuver it for you? How did maneuver is not even the right word. How did you then navigate is what I'm looking for, navigate your way through your own, I guess, messy middle or middle of the mess, if you like?
Whew. Well, I'll tell you one thing. I do practice what I preach. So, I worked on having things in order when my kids were young, when I was young. Um, I was single by choice. I did not accept the marriage proposal. So I was single by choice. But then, my wonderful husband has come along. We've been together 27 years now.
Wow, that's gorgeous.
But along those journeys, I have always aligned myself with what I thought, okay, people will need life insurance. So I was a life insurance agent as well. And anytime I had an appointment with someone for life insurance, I was never a seller. I just spoke the facts and let the facts, speak for themselves. So in practicing what I preach, I had life insurance on my kids, from when they were young and when they became, 18, I increased it. And when my son started having children, I added his children onto it as well. Praying that you never need it, but as crisis managed, those uncomfortable spaces.
Yeah.
And that's the murky things when you have conversation. Well, why do I need life insurance? Well, because I'm not going to sell a fish dinner trying to bury you.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that, right?
Like the will. It's like doing your own will, right? It's like it's uncomfortable, isn't it? But you have to do it. Have all
Yeah,
these, you have to have all these hypotheses and yeah.
because you just never know. And me seeing the worst of the worst. I'm like that protector mode. I want to protect my family. I want to protect my clients. I want to protect my legacy. And that's why I would say, while I'm in life insurance, some people, how you get some people that call and they want to ask you about things like that. And I had a friend who had called me one time and she was asking me about the company that I was selling life insurance for, and I told her, I said, I'm independent with this company and I'm with this company for XYZ in the products that they have, right? And I said, I operate my business with full awareness that if I'm reaching out to my family and I'm reaching out to my friends, I'm going to be the one to hand them a life insurance check when they pass away. That's very serious. So I'm operating with a purpose. So my very first life insurance claim was my son. I had to make the claim for my son. His death was totally unexpected. I got a phone call from our daughter, and I remember her plain as day saying, Mom, Kenny is dead. She found him in his home. When I got there, he had a very peaceful look on his face. But my life blew up.
Mm.
It became totally dark. I ached and had pain from a place that I did not know existed in my body at all. And I'm just looking at him, and he just looked like he was sleeping. But I knew there's a God, because there is no way my son is no longer here and he has a peaceful look on his face. You know,
Mm.
and I really spent time in a very dark place. And all I could do was say, I trust God, I trust God. But I couldn't move. I could just cry. I couldn't get up. But yet I had to plan his funeral. I wanted to celebrate his life. We all did. And I recognized the fact that I needed some help. So I found a therapist right away. And I found one that was really trustworthy that I felt that I could work well with. And taking those moments to open up, it was really life-changing
Mm.
because what I was going through, I was still shocked to find that there was a diagnosis for that. I'm like, I'm really in this mental health thing. I'm really in this space. And how I was feeling and the things that I was saying, my therapist would come back and he had some documentation and tools. I'm like, you're really telling me I'm moving through this mental health space. I really have a mental health condition. I really have a mental health condition with grief. And it was eye-opening. It helped me, it gave me some tools to
Mm.
understand how to know what healthy behaviors were. So, although I'm in this mental health space, I could not operate naturally because I had to keep remembering what these tools were.
To get you through,
Huh?
to get you through day by day, like those to
Yeah,
get
to get me through day by day, and I had to learn to live day, day by day.
yeah.
And as you know, in the Bible, it tells you the things of the day would take care of themselves, so don't worry about tomorrow. Well, I actually had to live that. I had to live that and understand that sometimes it took me to just get through the next hour. Then I got a couple more hours on top of that. And then I can just add to the rest of the day. But it was the most pain I had ever felt in my life. And I would just, when I got to a point where, okay, I don't want to be depressed anymore. I want to live. My son wouldn't want this for me.
No.
I did not teach him to live a life, that wasn't joyous. I didn't teach him how to live a life where, he didn't pray every day, that he wasn't that he didn't do good things. So now that he's passed, that stuff was not true. It is true.
Yeah.
But I just had to learn how to live in it. So it's an uncomfortable space, but I had to learn and pull from everything I have to make sure that I was resilient in it and that and I wanted to carry more, I wanted that pain to be filled with more joy
Mm.
rather than sadness as I lived each day because I'm very proud of him and I've learned about all the lives that he touched.
Yeah, you said.
Yeah, your kids don't live with you, so you really don't know what they're doing every day. But there are still people reaching out like he was just amazing. He helped me through so many things. And plus, I want to show the Lord that I trust you and I know you don't make mistakes. So I'm going to live this life according to your will. And I'm going to put a smile on my face, but when that hurt comes, I'm going to cry too.
Mm.
But it's not going to paralyze me. I want to pull from it from strength. So those are the things that I've learned even when I was younger, having my children when they were sick, when having adversities. It just seemed like it was so much of a struggle at times, but I always had to find, a way out through it. If I can come through it, if I I always said, if I can look up, I can get up.
Yeah, it's so, because I have this thing around look up. Like I always say, look up. Like, it makes such a difference when you look up. If you're having like a bad day and like just a standard bad day, we won't even talk about your day, but like, in terms of that, when I was just say look up, and when you look up, but I haven't heard
Look
the,
up, you can get up.
yeah,
You
I hadn't
always
heard the
have
get
to move
up.
forward and higher. We're not saying that forward is, you're moving in leaps and bounds. Sometimes forward is just for you to get up and take a shower and to smell good.
Yeah.
That could be the first step, If that's all you did that day, we're gonna clap for you.
Yeah,
Okay?
100%. And I think that's what we don't do. I don't know what you think about this, but we just don't do that. And like you talking about being present and having just to like every hour, like to get through that hour and then the next 2 hours. We're in
Yeah.
such a hurry in life, in general, that
Yeah.
the past.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like there's something so precious about the present moment,
Mhm.
and I
Mhm.
think we have a tendency to run away from it because when it's painful or when it's just like it's too hard, it's too easy to then just jump to the next, or wish it away. When actually, if we just sit in that messy middle or in the middle of the mess.
Right, because there's something in that middle of that mess. It's something that we do to keep it murky, you know, and we have to have the courage to do something different. We have to have the courage to do something that feels uncomfortable, to start cleaning out that murkiness, cleaning out that messiness, and turning it into, something that's really, organized and a valuable tool for you. And a lot of that comes because sometimes we just don't do the work to know what we need because we don't know what we don't know. We live our lives sometime in environments and we become products of our environment because that's all we've seen. We don't really know that how others live or how they exist until we step out of those environments, but we don't always have the opportunities. And this is where that intersection for me comes when you talk about that clinical crossover that I have, where I help teach the professionals about implicit bias when
Mm,
they're caring for people, because understanding how to relate to people is critical to their care. A person is thrust into an environment. They've gotten some news, and it could be bad news. They don't need someone in the healthcare establishment coming in, talking to them short, not being gentle when they have to touch them or draw blood. Um, Putting them in rooms with, with roommates and it's causing tension, or even the person that comes up to bring their tray for dinner. They don't need you to just
drop
set
it
it
down.
down and just walk out. They're human beings. And so people tend to make judgments on people when it's not even that. I teach, I do these series of exercises and these different games. And usually at the end of my class, I mean, it's always positive feedback because they're like, I never thought about that.
Yeah.
And implicit bias training is not making any one person feel bad at all about anything. It's just teaching us to be mindful about our experiences and how we deal with others.
Mm.
But just like anything else, there has to be training and some learning in that because everyone relates differently. And a scared person will agree to anything with you if they think if they don't agree, you're going to hurt them.
So true. So true. So Karen, what is so in terms of like your business now, how much has it evolved since Kenny? Like have you like has like I always like I believe that when people pass, they generally they're a guiding light, they're a shining light over the top of us. And so what has changed in your business? You've got this big smile on your face.
Yes. I have this big smile because one of the last conversations that I had with my son, he was like, "How's your business going, Mama?" He was like, "Mama, don't nobody understand what you're talking about. You're gonna have to make this language a little easier." He was like, think outside the box. And he was just saying, Mom, you just way too smart. Bring it down a little bit to help us understand. So that resonates, that resonates with me because um and it was close to his passing. I just knew that this was a divine conversation with him. I told the Lord, I said, Lord, I don't know what this was about, but I'm sure, you'll tell me. So I keep thinking about him. I keep thinking about people in his age group. I keep thinking about his friends, how they're trying to navigate this loss from him. Because they're still going on his Facebook pages every day saying, man, I miss you.
Mm,
And then they have other friends that pass away. When I was younger, my young friends didn't pass away. It was always my older relatives,
mm.
right? So, in being a patient advocate and learning that I'm in this mental health space too, and the tools that I've learned to get through this, I am developing a program to help give the inspiration and some tools for people who are grieving, not just grieving mothers, but tools, especially for its age group where they don't necessarily want to come on camera and do all of
No.
that. They want to do things on their phone. So I'm developing something now so that they can get some inspiration and motivation, for their life as they move through their grief and what they see so that they can still learn to have a blossom life while living with the spirit and the best things of their friends and loved ones who have gone on. And that's how I think about my guardian angel, Kenny.
Oh my God, you're amazing. Like you are so amazing. Like even just since we met earlier this year to now, you can just see a remarkable just change in you. Like just this, it's like your aura's got like
Oh
got
gosh.
got like more. Like I feel like you've got this massive aura around you that's just like radiating. And you seem
Yeah.
so. Um, Power is it's not the right word, but it is. It's like you're just this. I call it a soul force. Like it's this force, but it's the force for good. Like, and I just,
Oh,
it just.
I'll take it. I'll take it all because February 7th of last year, of 2024, when my son passed away, if you had told me that I would be here that day, I couldn't see it. But I knew that I know that there's so much that I have to do. And I would just say, Lord, teach me how to live in this world with my son's spirit. And my son is in the best place he could be in the hands of the Lord, a place that we're all trying to get to. And I'm like, I taught him how to get there, you know. I did, and that's what I choose to believe. And I just do not want to live here and my life be in vain because it's so much that people need to know. It's so
Yeah,
much that people need to know. And healthcare is in every single thing we do.
yeah,
You can't even go get a job without them putting healthcare forms and financial forms in front of your face. And they don't know what to do with that. You can't get sick and then you go to like an urgent care or should you go to a hospital or you're faced with this illness that you didn't know what was going to come and now you're getting tons of bills. How do you manage that? Well, I'm teaching people how to get funding for their copays. You know, I'm always evolving and learning because this information, once you receive it, it's like, oh, wow, how come I didn't know that? Well, that's why I'm here. We can't know
No, we
everything.
can't know everything.
No, we can't. And I just want to go through life knowing that I'm doing so good. Healthcare is one of the most unsexy topics there is out there.
Yeah, I
You know,
agree.
it is so unsexy. The information can really make you want to turn left or right, but I'm like, I'm trying to find a great and fun way to bring it to you because I say, yeah, it's unsexy, but it's also unsexy if you have to start losing toes and limbs because you didn't know either.
No.
That's not sexy
And I
either,
love
you
your
know.
TikTok reels. I'm loving your TikTok. There's so much energy in them. I'm like, oh, you're inspiring me with what you're doing on TikTok as well. It's very cool. Karen, what would be, and I appreciate it, your time, and it's Sunday afternoon for you, and I know that's a very important family time, dinner and everything on a Sunday. I think you mentioned that to me last time. But Karen, what would be what would be one piece? What would be one? You've given us so much advice, but what would be one piece of advice? There's two questions for this to this actually.
Okay.
What would
Okay.
be a piece of advice? First one, what would be a piece of advice for somebody who was facing a form of a challenge, if you like, when it came to their, their health, or they were in a situation where they were just like, yeah, they didn't know whether to turn right or left or right.
Mm-hmm.
And they were almost
Well,
they knew they were in the middle of the mess, but they just didn't even know where to start to get some sort of help. What would be one piece of advice you would give them?
okay. Well, one piece of advice I'll get someone who has just been faced with some kind of healthcare crisis. The first thing would be to make sure that you have the right doctor. Make sure you have the right doctor because it's usually going to take more than one and understand the questions to ask. But if you don't know, call me or another patient advocate that can help you. And I say that because patient advocates are independent. We do not work for the hospital and we do not work for the insurance company.
The patient.
We are patient-centered and we work for you. So learn about the patient advocates.
Mm, yeah. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Like
Mhm.
we need to be talking about the patient advocates more and more because you're just so important. You're like an angel in the world. And then what would be, I guess, one piece of advice for anybody that is facing grief. They've just lost a loved one.
Yeah. Um, in that moment, it's okay to lean into the hurt. It's okay to not have the answers of why something happened. While you're trusting God, force yourself to get a therapist right away.
Mm,
Force yourself to get a therapist and take advantage of a group therapy program. And I say that because I had a therapist and I also did group therapy. I had never done group therapy before, but the people in that group therapy program, that was the first time I felt like I wasn't crazy with what I was feeling. Someone in that group understood every last emotion that I was having.
mm,
And that is what you need
yeah.
because they can really help you. No one is in that group therapy to tell you not to feel what you're feeling. But when you have like people that have the same heartbrokenness and they're there with you, and some people in my group, they had lost their loved ones like 5 years ago and they were at different stages. But when they tell you, I understand your pain and your life is supposed to be different because your loved one is gone, it doesn't make you feel crazy anymore, and you can embrace the new experience in your life that you're in. So get the group therapy, a good group therapy program, and get a therapist, someone that you can trust, that will guide you through it, because this is not something to manage alone. Not
No.
at all.
Oh, I
No.
want to give you the biggest hug right now. Like you're just such a
Oh,
beautiful
good.
person, Karen. Thank you so much for your time today. And we've had a few false starts, but it's like it was just when you emailed me and said I'm ready, and I was like, oh,
Yes.
I could feel you were ready. I could feel this strength coming through
Mhm.
that you were ready to come on onto the podcast. So
Mhm.
I'm truly appreciative, and you're an incredible woman, and I'm sending you so much love and
Oh, thank you. I
strength.
take it and I accept it. I'm just so grateful that that we've talked and connected. And I love the idea of the Be Formless, because sometimes I go on, shows and I speak and it's so narrow, but this whole format is all about my patient advocacy. It's
Yeah,
not one road or one route. And you really get into the deepness of like why I'm here, why I'm here, and to be able to elaborate, on this experience. Like I said, I don't know why God chose this to be my experience with losing a child, you know, but the fact that I can smile now when I think about my baby, think about the memories in our last conversation and just embrace and know that he's in a great place. It's inspiring because I don't know how long I'm gonna be here. He was 29. We don't know when we're gonna be
no,
taken away. But I bet you one thing, I'm gonna make the most out of my life. And the way to do that is to impact others and help others. And that is where I'm gonna draw my strength from. And
incredible.
people like you who help me do it. I'm
Yeah.
so grateful for you
No,
and your idea and your courage to even do this
yeah. Well,
podcast
I'm like,
because you helped me.
yeah, well, it's just we're when when you're here to do what you're here to do, and there's nothing that's going to get in the way. Karen, how do we find out more about KAREKOWELL LLC? How do we find out more? Website, I see website.
Yes, I have a website, and the website is karekowell.com, KAREKOWELL. It's the first part of my name, Karen, and my mother, God rest her soul, they called her Coco. So I took the first part of our names because she's such an inspiration too.
I love it. And you also
Yeah, so you're at KarenCromwell.com, across all platforms, but I also would like to interact with people. So you can find me at Karen Green Reynolds on IG and on Facebook as well.
just writing this down, Facebook. And you're on TikTok?
Oh yeah, I am on TikTok. Thank you. I'm learning TikTok. I'm on TikTok at I am Dr. Karen Reynolds.
Follow Karen on TikTok. She is the best and she'll brighten up your day. And you're doing a great job on TikTok. You're doing a better job than me. Karen, thank you so
I'm
much.
learning all this stuff.
Just gotta put yourself out there. Like, what did you say? Look up and get up. That's what you gotta do.
That's right. Look up and get up. That's
Yeah, look
right.
up and
Make
get
make
up.
make your life great. Make it a great day every day.
Exactly, Karen, exactly. So on that note, I'm gonna let you have your beautiful Sunday evening, Karen. It's been a real joy, pleasure talking to you. Thank you so
Yes, I
much.
have enjoyed you so much and your audience. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, Karen.